States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mark from the States. How are we doing today? I am doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming. Today we're going to look at Warwick Castle. Warwick. Is it Warwick or Warwick Castle? England's greatest castle? Maybe. Please go support Untold Past. That's who we're watching today. They have been a favorite of mine, and please go support their channel by liking their video and subscribing if you haven't already. You can certainly like this video if you'd like. Not a requirement for hanging out with us today. Come sit on this big fake couch. We have no cats. They're off doing their own thing today, so boo, but it's okay. I have all of you, so I am perfectly content. So let's get into this. England's greatest castle. We've been really castle heavy here of late, so I'm excited. Hopefully you are too. Let's do this.
Warwick Castle sits on the River Avon as a bastion of power, wealth and grandness. Its history is one which is closely linked to royalty, richness and also darkness. Featuring some incredible rooms fit for a monarch to visit, and also dungeons which even the most defiant soldier would submit within the dark and dreary walls, it really is one of England's greatest castles.
Wow, look at that.
Join us today as we visit the history behind and show you around a fantastic Warwick Castle. Remember, if you do enjoy our videos, please make sure to subscribe.
Do it.
Warwick Castle's history begins with the reign of William the Conqueror, with the first castle appearing on the site. After his victory at the Battle of Hastings in 1066, William needed to consolidate his power in England. He did this by building wood and motte and bailey castles, and one of these was built at Warwick. William then appointed the powerful Henry de Beaumont as the constable of the castle. He was then made the first Earl of Warwick. During the next few centuries, the ownership of the castle changed hands a number of times. In 1264, the castle was taken in a surprise attack by Simon de Montfort, the 6th Earl of Leicester. One of the most historic names associated with the castle is the surname Beauchamp, and the Beauchamp family had possession of the castle for over 180 years.
Jeez.
Within this time, they added to the castle, expanding to create an imposing and impregnable fortress.
That is so cool, right there next to the water. It's just, when you think of castles, in my opinion, fairy tales, make-believe, and princesses and kings and water, moats or water, some sort of water barrier. It's so cool, so cool.
In 1312, Piers Gaveston, the favourite and rumoured possible lover of Edward II, was captured by Guy Beauchamp, the 10th Earl of Warwick, and imprisoned in the castle before his execution. Later, under Thomas Beauchamp, the castle grew even more to incorporate a gatehouse, a barbican, and the Caesar and Guy's towers.
A barbican?
Stay tuned for...
What's a barbican? For a minute there, I thought I heard him say barbecue, and I'm like, yeah, gotta have a barbecue, but barbican. Interesting.
Tour around these specific parts of the castle, including the infamous dungeons. In 1449, the line of the Beauchamp Earls ended,
so cool.
And Richard Neville, also known as the Kingmaker, became the next Earl of Warwick. Neville's name would become infamous throughout the War of the Roses, even imprisoning King Edward IV at Warwick at one point, attempting to rule in the king's name. Following the Kingmaker's death at the Battle of Barnet, the castle passed to the Plantagenets, and these two met a rather grisly end. Held by Henry VII, Edward Plantagenet would be held at the Tower of London for 14 years before being executed for conspiring with the Great Pretender, Perkin Warbeck. In the Tudor era, the castle had fallen into a state of decay, and it was visited twice by Queen Elizabeth I. During the English Civil War, it was refortified, and it saw action under the Greville family. The Greville family began to restore and return Warwick to its former glory. During the Gunpowder Plot, the conspirators had even stole horses from the stables to help their escape. The Greville family would become synonymous with Warwick Castle. For centuries, their ownership would transform Warwick into an opulent fortification within the countryside. Under their tenure, the castle would also become a palace fit for royalty, with ornate decor, of which you will see later. During the Victorian times, it became a massive tourist attraction, even visited by Queen Victoria herself. Today, it is definitely one of England's best castles and most visited. This is where we begin our tour. We've previously mentioned the Motte and Bailey Castle that once stood at Warwick. The motte was the mound of earth in which the keep, or the castle structure, stood on top of. From the top of the motte, you can really see why William ordered the castle to be built there. The views offer a complete 360-degree view for miles around and would give one enough time to prepare should an invading force be approaching. The curtain walls at Warwick are extremely thick and huge. These intimidating walls would act as a first means of defence following the moat. They were built to allow archers and crossbowmen to swiftly move around the castle to defend different parts from above, and they do feature many arrow loops and crenellations. Built in the 14th century, the Guy's Tower is a huge and intimidating structure that offers incredible views of Warwick. This tower would have originally been used to accommodate important guests, however the rooms were sometimes used to house prisoners. In fact, within these walls is some prisoner graffiti. It has 5 stories within this tower, with the 5th being a guard room. During the English Civil War, the windows were modified to allow people to fire handheld cannons. One of the first defences that possible attackers would be greeted by at Warwick would be the barbican. The exterior walled passage had a drawbridge and extended out into the ditch. Soldiers would then be faced with the inner portcullis. From above, an invader would be peppered with crossbow bolts and arrows, and it would be possible to create a trap, creating a killing zone. From above, terror would rain down from the murder holes with waste, boiling water and sand being thrown which would get into a soldier's armour. This was a brutal method of defence. Leaving the barbican along the wall walk, you head towards Caesar's Tower. This was built in the 14th century and is the tallest tower within the castle. This is a 4-storey tower and houses the infamous jail. The jail at Warwick Castle is extremely infamous. It is incredibly dark and cold within the confines of the jail. It has a single open drain running across the floor, providing the only sanitation. The only light that comes through is from a tiny shaft high on the wall, from which the guards would then watch prisoners. Inside the prison is a number of carvings on the walls of those unfortunate enough to be housed here. Within the dungeon, prisoners would be shackled to the walls and would probably face torture. The most brutal method of them all is the oubliette that's found here. This hole in the ground was simply where a soldier would be left and forgotten, being eaten by rats, or possibly even drowning in water or dying of starvation. If you haven't already, please check out our video on the oubliette. The Kingmaker exhibition at Warwick Castle charters the life of Richard Neville, the Kingmaker, and specifically goes into detail about how he would have prepared for a battle. You can see within this a number of different rooms, including a blacksmith's quarters, a wardrobe, and even a garderobe or toilet. Richard Neville's connections with the castle and role as a great manipulator of the monarchy has certainly preceded him. The Great Hall inside the main part of the castle is an unbelievably ornate room. It is the largest room in the castle. This room would have acted as a grand reception room for guests and to house entertainment. Grand dances and frivolity would occur within this space. The Red Drawing Room is a grand chamber and was used as an anteroom, a room in which guests would be received in a grand and opulent manner. Adorning the walls are a number of rich and incredible paintings. Within this room you can certainly get a feel for the opulence and the wealth of the castle's custodian. The next few rooms only have one purpose, purely to entertain and impress guests. The Green Drawing Room functioned as a private gentleman's room for travelling aristocrats to rest and play in. This beautiful room features an incredible ceiling that is inspired by the Temple Bell in Palmyra. Sadly, this temple was destroyed in 2015 by ISIS. The Queen Anne bedroom was given its name following the fact that Queen Anne gifted her bed to the suite in 1773. Queen Anne was the last Stuart monarch, and the bed was probably her deathbed. Adorning the walls are incredible tapestries, which show gardens and a medieval palace in extraordinary detail. The small yet intimate blue boudoir was redecorated by Daisy Greville. She wanted a room to entertain the ladies, whilst the men would be in the Green Drawing Room enjoying themselves. Inside this room are a number of very famous paintings. The armoury passageway contains a rich number of weapons and pieces of armour, including the sword of Guy Warwick. Allegedly, this armoury is only second to the Tower of London. The chapel in Warwick Castle is small
Christmas tree.
yet hugely impressive. It was the meeting place of the Earls of Warwick and their families every Sunday. The stone screen.
This is absolutely amazing. I have got to go visit. This is so cool.
Would divide the family from the household staff. In 1995, the ceiling was discovered to have a number of heraldic shields on it. A chapel has been located on this site since the year 1119. Arguably, the most ornate and impressive room in the whole castle is the state dining room. With paintings of monarchs, including Charles I, adorning the walls, this room has hosted some incredible dinner parties and esteemed guests, including Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. In 1996, even Queen Elizabeth II had lunch in this room. The huge chandelier, marble fireplace, and vast amounts of artwork show off the incredible wealth of the castle's owner. There is even more to the castle. However, at a later date, we will show you the remaining part of the castle, including the Royal Victorian Weekend exhibition, the ornate bedrooms upstairs, and the incredible mill and conservatory, complete with the fantastic gardens. We really hope you enjoyed this video of Warwick Castle.
I did enjoy that video. Please go subscribe to Untold. His stuff is so good. I just love it. And that castle was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Very, very cool. Dang. I love how they added the exhibits that are in there to kind of give you an idea. That jail, which they spell G-A-O-L. Love that. And if I would have looked at it originally, I wouldn't have never have pronounced the G as a J. But that's cool. I don't know why I am so into castles of late. This is so weird. I don't think I've ever been into castles my whole life. And just recently, I'm just finding them so historically fascinating and just... I've got more coming too. Oh, I've got a bunch of content coming with castle-related business. I've already done... I'm already trying to get you guys to buy a castle. I'm overcorrecting from not a castle fan to now I want to get all of you to invest into a castle with me. Oh my God. What's happening? Hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. The question obvious, who's been there? Who lives near there? I'm sure some of you can walk out your front door and throw a rock and hit this castle. So cool. Very, very cool. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark. Yeah.